Years ago, I watched a review of a game that really caught my attention, partly because of its aesthetic, but even more because of its name. I was really intrigued by the fact that a game with such grim, violent, and disturbing vibe has such an unusual title. So I decided to buy it during a Steam sale and find out what it was really about. The game was The Cat Lady. Created by the one-man British studio Harvester Games, founded by developer Rem Michalski, The Cat Lady is the first entry in the Devil Went Through Here trilogy, followed by Downfall and concluded with Lorelei. Downfall was in fact the first game Michalski ever created back in 2009, but after The Cat Lady it was remade and incorporated into the trilogy. Michalski usually works alone from his home, occasionally working with freelance artists in the creation of his projects. He's currently working on his sixth game, Train Watch. The story of The Cat Lady begins with a punch to the gut. The main character, Susan Ashworth, has just swallowed an entire bottle of sedatives and prepares to die. The opening scene is her suicide note being read by herself as she feels her life slowly fading away. And just when she thinks it's all over, she wakes up in a calm and a beautiful place. I realized right from that opening scene that this game would take an extremely mature approach to the subject. Susan's suicide is never portrayed in a graphic or violent way. On the contrary, all we see is her cat, Mr. Teacup, while her calm voice explains the situation. After a series of bizarre events, Susan meets an old woman. Following a long conversation, the woman tells her she will grant her a second chance. She will send Susan back to Earth to become a parasite hunter. Parasites are described by the old woman as the vilest and most despicable individuals walking this world: murderers, liars, rapists. And these will be Susan's prey from now on. To face this bitter task, the old woman grants Susan the power of immortality. She tells her that if she finds and deals with the 5 parasites, all her feelings of despair and anguish will leave her forever, and she will live peacefully for the rest of her days. Although it already stands out as a completely unconventional narrative for a horror game, it is in its mature and responsible portrayal of depression that The Cat Lady truly succeeds and surprises. First, even though it is purely a horror game, The Cat Lady does not rely on cheap jump scares meant to make players leap out of their chairs and scream for a funny YouTube clip. The fear in The Cat Lady stems partly from its bleak, claustrophobic, and often shocking aesthetic. I honestly wouldn't recommend this game to anyone who is sensitive to violence. It is very present throughout the story, and it also serves an important role in the broader context of the narrative. But here I am talking about the game's aesthetic, when in fact its true horror lies in its storytelling. I would easily say it's the most introspective and reflexive game I've ever played. I won't spoil the plot. The portion I described at the beginning covers literally the first 10 minutes of the experience. What I really want to emphasize is how respectfully the game handles such a delicate topic as depression. Throughout the journey, we are placed in Susan's shoes, and we almost begin to feel what she feels. Through her dialogue, we come to know Susan's personality. We grow to like her and care about her to the point of fearing for her life and well-being, even though she is virtually immortal. This also happens because by seeing the world through the eyes of a middle-aged woman struggling with mental health issues, we are exposed to the worst aspects of humanity. Most of the secondary characters, with few exceptions, treat Susan with complete disrespect. From her neighbor, who frequently harasses her by knocking on her door and bothering her in various ways, to the hospital staff where she is admitted after her failed suicide attempt. People who should show even a hint of compassion instead treat her with extreme coldness, sometimes outright ignoring her. On other occasions, Susan is dismissed and treated condescendingly because of her condition and recent suicide attempt. In addition, Susan must confront her inner demons throughout the story. The most terrifying chapters are not those in which she is in danger or confronting one of the parasites, but rather those in which she is alone with herself. Whether reliving a traumatic event from her past, the decisive moment that led to her mental struggles, or experiencing a brilliant chapter not only in terms of narrative but also game design, where the player must prevent Susan from having a paralyzing anxiety attack by performing basic tasks in her apartment, taking a shower, making coffee, without letting unpleasant realities like unpaid bills, power outages, or a blown fuse destabilize her mood. This part is especially tense as the chance of failure is very high, and failing to keep the protagonist stable results in an extremely sad and even disturbing ending to the chapter. Although the game frequently flirts with the supernatural, the depiction of the parasites, the main villains, is particularly frightening because it feels too real. The parasites are ordinary people. They don't have grotesque, monstrous appearances, nor do they possess supernatural powers that give them an advantage over Susan. Instead, they are portrayed as humans who could be anywhere, look like anyone, and hide behind a mask of a sweet, understanding person who seems to care about what Susan is going through. The cat lady manages, even if on a small scale, to emulate the sense of despair experienced by someone struggling with depression and anxiety. It does not do so because the topic became trendy, but because it demonstrates that the battle against these illnesses is, at its core, bleak and deeply violent for someone who sees terror where others see normal situation. Not only that, but the game also captures the anguish of being a woman with these issues, being dismissed, disrespected, and targeted by people who represent a danger far greater than death itself. For me, The Cat Lady achieves something rarely accomplished by works of fiction. For me, The Cat Lady achieves something rarely accomplished by works of fiction that center depression as their main theme. In this game, the deepest fears of someone going through this experience take the form of metaphors showing that the supernatural can be far less frightening than being alone with oneself, or at the mercy of real people who exploit vulnerability to be cruel. And it does all of this without being exploitative or dishonest, without marketing itself as something aimed at trendy young audiences, only to present scenes that serve no purpose other than shock value. It's not just a brilliant game, it's a profound reflection we all need to make before pointing fingers and passing judgment. Thank you for watching. If this is your first video, hello, I am Deity. I make videos yapping about video games on the internet. If you liked the video and want to see more videos like this, consider subscribing, leaving a like, leaving a comment, because I would love to read it. And I would like to thank everyone who watched, liked, and commented my last and first video. Thank everyone who subscribed as well. Like 200 subscribers with one video, it's crazy, and I wasn't really expecting such a good reception. So yeah, thanks a lot. And I think that's about it. I'll see you guys in the next video, and thanks again. Bye.